Hello and welcome to the We Are Birmingham podcast. I'm Chris Golding.
Hi, Matthew Elliott.
And we're back. We missed the week last week after, life.
Have we missed 2 weeks?
A week, I think, wasn't it? When were you on a boat? When we were broadcasting on a boat? On a boat?
That was the last, 27th of February. It's 2 weeks.
Is it 2?
It's 2 weeks, yeah.
Doesn't feel like it. How you been?
Before the Wycombe game, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm tired. I'm always tired. So, very busy with work, and home life is mental at the moment. So, yeah, I'm all right.
Finding time to record podcasts
to do this is quite difficult. Yeah, last night was kids play last night, so I couldn't do it last night, and then tonight it was touch and go. I was trying to get children to sleep, and my other half's gone to netball and whatnot. So yeah, I'm present.
Don't forget that Dave was going to join us last night if we could have done it last night, but he's unavailable tonight because he's
taking photos of Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, I mean, you've been very noisy there, you know.
I'm sorry, I'm moving the mic. That's why, yeah. So
I'm trying. You generally okay? Yeah, all good.
Yes, yeah. I'm here. I'm present, as I say. Yeah, I'm present. So
good stuff.
You?
Do you know what? I'm okay. I'm all right. I mean, we're looking for a house at the moment, and that is really draining. I think just like I'm probably first world problems, to be fair, but it's like such a. I want to get out of the house that we're in and buy our own place, and it's just.
It's a very long, stressful process. The whole thing.
We haven't even got anywhere yet. That's the thing. It's like we're still at the point where we're trying to find something. So I know that we've got a long. I know that we've got a long way to go before it even gets to the really stressful parts. But yeah, we're both tired, and do you know what? That's probably a good place to start before we look at any of the games, because we both mentioned it. We've had chats in the group chat. I think people have mentioned it online. Everybody is exhausted from or not everyone, but a lot of people are exhausted from football. The football fatigue at the moment. And granted, the players are going to be tired, but it's a struggle for everyone. The 60 game season is a slug.
I'm looking at these people that do home and away like every week, and even the people that do are doing all the home games like season ticket, and just think like, how are you? I know it's obviously we're winning, so it makes life a bit easier, and you're a bit more motivated to turn up. But my God, there's been just some days where I've even just watching from home, I feel like, oh God, can I be bothered? But I don't want to miss it. But I'm also like, I've got other stuff to do. I'm tired. I should go to bed and all that sort of stuff. But it's just been so much of it. Saturday, Tuesday, consistently. With all obviously the cup games, and getting to Wembley is fantastic. But it just feels like it's overkill. And I'm really looking forward to the international break, which normally I hate. but I'm ready for it now.
I think that the players are ready for it. The team are ready for it. I think that most of the fans are ready for it. It's. I didn't think that we'd be getting to this point in the way that we have. I thought that we might have struggled. That players, we might have picked up a few more injuries than we had, and that we might have had to have rotated a bit more. But we've made it nearly.
But 82 points at this point. 82 points at the point of the season is amazing. And obviously, seeing us win so many games is also amazing. But it's kind of weird that I feel kind of guilty saying that I'm just a bit tired of watching Blues win every week. It sounds bizarre, but I am ready for a break.
I think that probably is another element to it as well, because I mean, we've been a little bit spoiled this season with how dominant we've been, but a lot of people are saying the football hasn't been exciting, and they're moaning about that. And do you know what? Some of the football probably has been a bit of a chore to turn up and to watch football that hasn't been amazingly exciting for 90 minutes. But we're winning games, we're controlling games, we're doing what we need to, and that's my opinion on it, is that, you know what, we're absolutely bossing it. We're doing enough to win games, and then we're dominating them and we're seeing them out. So but I completely get why there are people having to take breaks from it and not go to certain games. I'm having to do it myself and pick and choose some of them to say, do you know what, I can't. I like, especially as you're saying, when they're back to 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 back. It's been a struggle. But
credit to the people that are doing it every week, home and away, because yeah, that's some effort this season.
No, I wouldn't choose not to go. I'd never choose not to go, but like you can feel it when you're getting ready to go to the game. Like you can feel it, or I can. I still love going, still love the Blues, but yeah, it's been hard.
Do you still? To ask this, right? Do you still get excited the morning or the day before you go at the moment, or has something changed?
So I'm going to link this in with something that people have been saying about the atmosphere, and to me, it's that now the big games. And when I say that, I mean so Wickham was a big game because it was top of the table.
Yeah.
The Wrexham game, the Newcastle game, the Bradford game, because there's more on them, and there's that. I suppose it's an element of that. There's risk involved to it. They're not sort of risk-free games. There's something at stake, and I think because of that, those games, there is that bit of excitement about them. But the rest of, so going to watch us play Lincoln, for example, less so. I was looking forward to seeing my mates and to having a laugh and watching the game and watching us hopefully win again. But there wasn't that same excitement. And then the game gets underway, and you know it's there. But I think that a lot of people are probably feeling that same sort of way, and that's why the atmospheres are a bit more dull. When there's something on the line, and it's pretty much sewn up, isn't it now? So see out the rest of the season, keep doing it. I think that people are just comfortable, and the one thing that I will say, I think if the players need their support, if they need backing, if their backs are against the wall and we're struggling in games, they'll get behind them. That Bolton game, like they were still singing. I know it's really hard to get anything going when you've got a drum going in your ear for 90 minutes. And fair play to them. Like, we'll come on to that game. It was a big game for them, and they absolutely rose to the occasion, supporters and players. But it's I think supporters will get behind the players as and when it's needed, but the rest of the time, I think it's just sort of cruising now, and I think that's the atmosphere as well.
Is it still exciting? Is the game still exciting for you outside of scoring goals and, you know, because we're not really having wave of attack against teams. Although it's actually saying that Tuesday, I thought we did. It was that lack of killer instinct or lack of final ball in the final third on against those guys. But we did play some really, really nice stuff, certainly in the first half against Stevenage. But are you finding it exciting? Or
I wouldn't say exciting is the word now, and I think that's because of what I've just said, that there's less at stake, because we've pretty much won the league now. And I know that there's still these few games to go, but we've played all of the teams at the top around us, and we're 14 points clear. It looks nailed on. And I think because of that, the excitement's gone a little bit. We're
Mm.
playing teams that are much lower than us, and we should be smashing them really, and we're just seeing games out. And I think because of that, the probably excitement has gone a little bit. The cup final would be completely different.
Yes, yeah, definitely. That does feel even now being a month away, exactly a month away, pretty much does feel different. There feels something does because it's just a one-off game, and there is.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I do get that because I do. I'm looking forward to that more than really anything at the moment. Because you say we know we're probably going to win. We are going to win the league. And we're going to get promoted in the next few weeks as well. So it's yeah, it's kind of strange. I found myself like not even celebrating goals on like when watching it at home now though as well. Like there's like the odd. I can't remember which game it was when I did a couple of midweek games, but yeah, Stevenage on um Tuesday. Once we won, I didn't really celebrate either goal. I just felt quite comfortable with with everything.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was going to happen. It, but I don't. But I've also felt like I can't. It's not guilty, but I kind of just felt bad for. I should be celebrating here. Like my other half is like you don't get anywhere near as loud watching them as you used to. And I was like, we're winning now.
'Cause
We're
you used to
playing
be
really
angry.
well. Yeah. And yeah, I think yeah, it was angry at stuff. And then when we did score, obviously, it was more of a bit of a shock, and there was more delight from it because I wasn't expecting it. But now it's kind of just like, yeah.
Well,
Apart from the Bolton game, I got frustrated with, but I kind of felt like that game was coming. It
yeah.
was at some point anyway, and I just felt like a one game too far midweek, like. But
Well, the end of the Wickham game, the second half in that, we started looking really leggy.
yeah,
And then
definitely.
that rolled into the Bolton game where, I think, should we talk about the goalkeeper situation? It's basically passed by now because he was back
It's
so
been and gone,
quickly.
hasn't it? But yeah, I mean, obviously, but we never looked like scoring any more than that one goal
No,
anyway, really,
but
did we? So
equally, when we've tied in games before, we've completely closed the game out and just gone, right, okay, we'll dominate possession. I think the goalkeeper change affected that massively
it did. It definitely
because
affected. It
they
definitely
were
affected.
missing a ball player at the back, so they're essentially a man down.
Mm,
Um, and it did affect it. Whether we would have carried on, I don't know. Whether we'd have saw it out if things were different. But that
I thought
it's
Bolton were very,
y
very in that game, and they looked obviously they're on a good run of form, weren't they? I
yeah.
think, and
I saw something in the build up to that as well, saying it was on Twitter, I think, that saying this is how they'll press, this is what they'll do, this is how they've attacked games and defended games from the front as well. And it was exactly what, more so second half, but it was exactly what they did, and
yeah,
we just went to pieces a little bit. But like second half, you could tell that was another one of those games where it was like, yeah, this is gone. You could just see that we weren't in it. It was a frustration, but over the course of a season, you're going to get one or two
oh,
games.
absolutely, yeah.
So,
It'd be good to go back actually, and because I can't remember. I don't know if we jotted any of this down. I think we did at the time, but if it was me, then I've definitely lost it. When before the season started, we spoke about how many goals we would score, how many games we would lose, how many clean sheets we would have. It'd be interesting to go back and just listen to that to find out how close we're
see
going to
how we got
be
on.
to those things. Yeah,
We'll have to scan through the episodes at the start of the season when we were looking ahead to it and see how close we were.
I
The
think
genuine ones and not the not losing a game, scoring 500 goals.
Yeah. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. I'm sure one of us wrote it down, or if not both of us. It
Maybe
was
Dave did.
maybe Dave did. Yeah, hopefully he
You
did.
know, the producer should be writing things down like
He
that,
should be
shouldn't
right.
he?
He should be writing all these down. Yeah,
We'll sack him if he hasn't. Well,
definitely.
should we summarise the games quickly? The first one was the Wycombe game, then the Mike Dodds derby. I actually spoke to.
Are we going that far back?
No,
Are we?
just quickly. I think that's probably an important one to mention. I think seeing as it was a promotion rival, spoke to a couple of Wycombe fans on the way to the game, and basically said how they were feeling about Dodds, and they said that they feel a bit hampered by him. If anything, that he's come in and every game they feel like they're playing for a draw,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's exactly what I thought they'd tried to do against us as well.
I mean, doing it against us and doing it against everybody else in the league is probably two very, very different things. But
As we'll come on to later.
see that first half, I just thought these are dreadful, and I genuinely thought we could have been 3 or 4-0 up, and that was probably the best. I think it helped that the sun was out and stuff as well,
Yeah.
and during that game,
It felt like end of season sort
yeah.
of.
And I thought like this should have been 3 or 4-0. Really, I thought we were dominant, and then second half, say we started to look a bit leggy, and they really came into it. And actually, if they'd snatched a draw out of it, I don't think we could have grumbled too much. I mean, we probably would have, but
I think we probably could have done for not doing more, not making more of what we had. But you couldn't have begrudged them it late on. Yeah. But that, I mean, one thing that I think he's Chris Davis has sort of been stung by this season was the Northampton game at our place, and I think that's just like each game now. It's like, right, should we put Grant Hanley on now and just close things up a little, make it, put an extra body at the back and see it out. And that's a regular occurrence now in these.
It's noticed like opposition fans picking up on that as well. Like, oh, they had to bring on a defender at the end of the game to make sure. I mean, you've barely fucking had a sniff all game, and you know, it's just I don't blame him for doing that. It's absolutely fine if you're going to manage the game out properly, you know, and just better be safe than sorry. Like he is. Well, I think we spoke about before.
Let's not forget, he came on against Stevenage and then they scored straight away.
Well, Davis is quite pragmatic, isn't he? Like he does like attacking football, but he likes it in a controlled manner, doesn't he? So,
I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with seeing a game out either. It's especially if you're good enough to control the game.
Yeah.
Then happy days, and mostly we are. So should we jump forward then? It was Bolton that we've already mentioned was after that on there.
The Bolton game, I just thought they just had more energy. They made it really, really uncomfortable for us. Even at the beginning of the game when we'd gone 1-0 up, and I thought, I mean, it was a decent goal, and I think it's probably a boost that Emil Hansen probably needed at that point as well. But
it took it
still
lovely.
Didn't look super comfortable because they were constantly in our face, and then they weren't just in our face, but actually they looked quite effective down the other end, and they were breaking with pace. And the first goal that they scored, I mean, yes, Peacock Farrell mistake, it's near post, but I mean that goal, there were probably 3 or 4 culprits in the build up to that goal. We probably could have cut that out early doors. But just everyone was really, really half-arsed of everything. Like Davies could have done better.
I don't disagree with you. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to say that's why you have a goalkeeper, though, so that when
obviously
other areas,
but that was the whole goal was really uncharacteristic of us. I thought just who played on the wing during that game? Who played in front of Cochrane? I can't remember because they didn't.
It was Hansen, wasn't it?
Because Hansen, he didn't track his man there either on that. So I mean that was pretty frustrating. But
then Cochrane, Davis, and then Peacock Farrell. But
and then you had Taylor Gardner-Hickman tearing across the pitch from the other side of the pitch to try and sort of close them down, which, you know, in theory he shouldn't really have to be doing that. But yeah, I say Peacock Farrell is not. We've said before when he signed, like, I didn't think it was a great signing. And saying that, I didn't think Allsop was great either, but glad to be wrong on that one. Although sometimes I think he does make mistakes. He just seems to get away with it a little bit more often. But yeah, the confidence obviously Allsop gives to the back four is and the midfield probably is completely different. I don't really find him at fault for the other two goals. I think he did the right thing in not coming out for that for the second one, but the hesitation there probably put, you know, a bit of doubt in the defenders' minds as well. But again, we should have been winning that. That ball into boxes, you know, I think, I don't know if it was Hansen or Cochrane that sort of folded like a birthday card during that goal as well. It's just, the whole game was quite uncharacteristic, and the goals we conceded were very sloppy. But these things do happen. The same thing happened against Shrewsbury, and you know what? Since then, you know, we've bounced back and we've won we've won 2 games in a row. So, we're not. It's not getting in. The players looked absolutely dejected at the end of the game, and I was a little bit worried. There was a little bit of I had a feeling in my stomach. I was like, "Oh, please don't let this get to you." But clearly the coaching staff, Davies, the players aren't letting one blip get to them. The mindset is completely
Did you see the
changed.
footage from the team talk or the huddle before the Lincoln game on the Saturday?
I did.
I know it's a little bit Hollywood, little bit Amazon Prime, but
yeah,
they said the right things, exactly what needed to be said.
I almost felt like he was reading it off of his wrist or something. Though I'm going to be honest, like, I didn't want to say anything online because I know why we're doing it. I understand, and yeah, like you're right. It is. There's something a little bit Hollywood about it, and I can't help but like, oh, when I watched it, but it's fine.
But he said the right things. That it was basically, lads, we've got to get rid of what happened on Tuesday, get back to winning ways.
Yeah, I'm sure they spoke about that like after the game, as well, and put things right. You do what they do, like, where did we go wrong? What do we need to do better next time, etc., and stuff like that. And, you know, the difference with this squad and previous squads is that they do have the mental capacity to not let it affect them and bounce back, and that's the most important thing. And obviously Davies is obviously very sort of wired in and drilled that in that manner as well. So I'm sure there was a few choice words given towards the end of that game, but, you know, it's just,
I mean, apparently there's choice words given after we've had decent wins, so it's I can imagine that there were after a defeat.
Yeah,
but it's character building, isn't it?
It is. And the Lincoln game Saturday, it was Saturday, wasn't it? I thought we were. I mean, they didn't really come to do much. I didn't feel like they would. I think they had one sort of half chance towards the end, didn't they? But and that was it. But they were just
nothing on target.
They should have had that.
Yeah, but they didn't. Wasn't there something like Clara and Davis had more passes between them than the whole of their team?
I think something like that might have been in the first half, or I'm not sure if that was like the whole game. It's wild looking at stats like that. It might have been the whole game. I can't remember.
I get that's just them moving it backwards and forwards between each other while they're making.
I think was it Ryan Deeney that posted that stat about the passing. I think
I'm not sure where I saw it. It was just,
if it wasn't, I apologise. And if it was, I'm pretty sure it was without looking. But yeah, I mean, they were just. The thing is, they come. You know, they're set up for a draw, and they didn't even look like they were trying to nick something on on the break or with a set piece or anything like that. And then they just like, we'll just settle for a 1-0 defeat. Like, we don't get any points for a 1-0 defeat. So I mean, how negative do you need to be?
That's goal difference, isn't it? I think that's what a lot of it, like we've seen it numerous times. Although normally teams do try and offer something on the counter and try and get like break and get something, but yeah, I mean we've seen it so many times this season that this is going to roll us in nicely to Stevenage. Actually, we've seen it so many times this season where teams just haven't tried to do anything. They literally come, shut up shop, just take whatever goal difference they can, and if they get a draw out of it, great. And teams just not giving us a game, and then they go and moan about it online, their supporters, and they're like, oh, this, that, the other. Birmingham, they're not this, they're not that. They've spent all that money and they barely do it. We deserved more from the game, and it's like,
we were very unlucky. We were very unlucky to lose that. So it was Ryan Deeney. Sorry. Passes attempted today. Christoph Clara and Ben Davies 226. Lincoln City 217. As he said, there probably the biggest indication of how today's game played out. For anyone that doesn't follow Ryan, he's definitely worth a follow. His articles are really worth reading as well. Very sensible, very well thought out, quite analytical. Obviously does appears on the Keep Right On pod with the Bag of Dicks as well, as we call them, so Brian and Alex. So it's very enjoyable to listen to read, and sensible tweets as well.
It's funny
one of my more favourite follows on Twitter.
Yeah, it's a very good follow. It's funny that you're talking about a Bag of Dicks, because if you look at the, can you see that on the inside of the glass?
What actually is that?
So it actually says summer, but then if you turn it round, it looks
okay. Like... yeah, I was going to say, what is fair. Dominant was a little bit confused when obviously Dow took the penalty there as well, but and now I don't really want to. Is Davies taking him off of penalties? I don't. If something's been said already, I haven't seen it. But has Davies taken?
I haven't seen anything said of it,
because he took May off when May missed one in a penalty shootout. But there's been no, and then Jay Stans will start taking. And to be fair, most of Jay's penalties weren't. I was always quite worried that he was going to miss one. Yeah. And I think he scored 8.
He scored the one that
and
just
one,
and it was like, oh, if you remember. But I thought that was absolutely brilliant, the way that they handled that, because the keeper's done all his homework on Stansfield, and he's like, I know what we're preparing for here. And Stano's there just laughing at him, holding the ball, because he's fully aware that he's just going to go, there you go.
And that was some penalty as well. That was
lovely pen.
He's got some balls on him that like pretty much a no look penalty, and then obviously.
Hang on! Before we move away from it, the funniest thing that I've seen in a very long time at a Blues match ensued after that, because that goalkeeper then, after all the shit, turned around and walked back to the goal. And all the Blues fans at the Tilton in unison just waving the wanker sign. I've never seen anything like it. It was just like a sea of people's arms. I mentioned it afterwards, and it was fucking hilarious. I haven't seen any footage of it anywhere, but which is gutting. But then he didn't want to look back at the Tilton again after that. He got some stick.
So while we're on the subject of penalties, I was thinking about it earlier on. I was vacuuming earlier on and it came to me, and it wasn't for content for the podcast. It was just something that made me think, and it may have been someone else may have mentioned this. I don't know, but we've had 12 penalties this season. We've scored 11. Birmingham City, Chris, have been given 12 penalties in a season, and there's still like 10 games to go or something like that.
But do you know why? Being in and around the opposition's box really helps. And
absolutely,
for the last fuck knows how long, we've barely been in the opposition half, let alone in their box. So I know there are penalties that we should have had, but nowhere. Like now
there's maybe some that were touch and go as well. I think potentially. I'd like to know if that's a record for us and what the average is over a season. Because I think it's around 6 or something, 5 or 6 or something like that, based on what I was looking at, and I'm basing it on nothing other than our own stats. So, there's probably other clubs that have a lot more, but 12 penalties, and I would imagine, based on that, we're probably going to have another 2 or 3 before the end of the season as well.
I saw something today, I think it was on socials, or maybe yesterday, a Wrexham fan that was having a bit of a moan about it, saying Birmingham 12 penalties, Wickham, I think they've had 10, 9 or 10.
Actually, Kone, you do, when he was in his rich vein of form, did seem to be taking quite a few penalties.
So they'd had a few, and then it was like Wrexham 3 or something, and it's like, well, yeah, but look at how
I've got to the point where I just don't like them. Like, I never thought they didn't used to bother me, but
so I really enjoyed the documentaries and everything, like the whole takeover and whatever, and then some of their supporters really started grating on me.
yeah, it's weird, and I don't follow
things.
that many like other football fans on Twitter, but you do see stuff just sort of
Pops up,
popping up. Yeah, it's bizarre. But no, I'd say I would like
yeah.
to know
So
if you
I was
look
just going
at
to say
teams
then,
like Man
so
City. Sorry, go on.
they were moaning about how many penalties that we had and Wickham had, and they'd not been given any in relation to it. And it's like, well, but look at how you play. You lump the ball forward, you lump the ball into the box, hoping that you get something out of it. You're not like, we're playing the ball in and around the box, trying to move it and creating those opportunities. You're not playing like that. And that's not slating Wrexham for how they play. It's like saying how well we play and how well we're moving the ball around, because we've never seen anything like it from Blues.
No.
So yeah, thrilled to be in and around the box and winning pens.
So I just had a quick look, right? So I've looked at the Premier League. I thought I'll look at Liverpool and see, because they're obviously running away with the league up there, and they play an attacking brand of football. So they've received 9 penalties. And then next is Bournemouth with 7, and then there's a lot of teams on 4. Man City obviously having a down season for them. They've only had 2 awarded to them this season, and Arsenal only had 2 this season as well. No surprise you're seeing teams like Ipswich and Leicester City down there as well. So I thought that was I was going to have a quick look at the Championship just to see what it's like there. Championship penalties received. Yeah, Watford have the most in Championship with 7. Then you've got Sheffield United with 5. So we feel like a bit of an outlier there with 12 penalties awarded. It does feel quite high.
It does, but
I reckon it's a club record. I'd like to find out.
Yeah.
Someone can tell us, please, because I can't be arsed looking now.
Yeah, the only thing that I could think would be going back years and years ago, where
before records began.
Yeah, pretty much.
might be difficult to find that out then.
Wow, yeah. So we'll just say it's a club record for now. Why not?
Go with that.
But yeah, if anyone can say otherwise, let us know, because it'd be good to know. But I just think the way that we're playing and the opposition that we're playing against, the way that they're playing against us, means that inevitably you're going to be in their box and they're going to have to put challenges in to stop you. And ultimately, that's why we're getting penalties. Now, in the Championship, we'll get less because teams will be attacking us. We'll have to defend. So it's got to relate to it. Andrew Fleming on the chat just must be a direct correlation to possession. I wouldn't say. I'd say attacking possession, definitely.
We've obviously got the ball, as you've said quite rightly. We're having the ball more often, and if you have the ball more often than not, you're in the opposition's box off. I don't know if there's a way of checking and see how many of those penalties are home and away, because I think a lot of them have come at home, haven't they, as well?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of. We've had a lot recently, and they've been home games. We'll find out. We'll find out. If anyone listening can have a look and see whether we're
yeah, because we're doing it live. It's
yeah, you can have a look for us. We could ask Dave, but he's out watching Limp Bizkit.
Taking photos of Limp Bizkit.
What about the Stevenage game then? We'll move on to that. Another penalty.
I see. I know we had a minor disagreement about this. See, in that first half,
yeah,
I thought they were the worst team we have played this season, and I think I'm thinking about it now, because when Cambridge came here, or when they came to our place, they looked almost as bad, if not, they're certainly worse overall. But both of those teams came and actually tried to not go toe to toe, but take the game to us, not sit back.
Yep.
Which I think obviously opens them up to make them probably look. I mean, Cambridge were down the bottom. They've obviously improved a bit since Neil Harris has came in and Gary Monk's left. But if a team wants to come here and go toe to toe with us, they're going to be brutalized normally. You'd think so. Outclassed certainly. But in that first half, I honestly thought Stevenage were so bad, and I thought that could have been, if we had just been a little bit more clinical in that final third, it could have been 4-0 at halftime. It would have been game over. Game over.
I agree about that. I agree that if we'd taken our chances, then we would have been. However,
I was going to say there was a lot of, before we get there, I thought they were really, because I'm not sure in the first half. I'm not sure what they were trying to take the game to us, but they didn't really seem to have a plan for what they wanted to do. Because sometimes they wanted to play out from the back, and other times they were just blasting out the pitch, and there was just so many unforced errors between them. There was obviously the errors that we forced by closing down and pressing, but then there was just, I don't know if we'd rattled them that early on. Obviously putting the ball out, just knocking the ball out for a corner when they could have given it back to the goalkeeper or nodded it back to like one of their players. It's really some of the unforced errors they had in that first half. I was just like, this is comedy, pure comedy.
And I completely get that. However, I thought John Merrill's just jumped in, 1 penalty away this season. Stano at Exeter. There you go.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. But I was going to say so this home advantage thing is a big deal. Yeah. It helps having,
even though we've had some terrible refs at home as well.
Well, I mean, some of them not all of them have been penalties either. I don't think so. I think so. I think having the crowd in like 25,000 people in the crowd makes a big difference.
Probably they shit themselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, carry on.
So yeah, so coming back to Stevenage, I agree with you in that we could have, if we'd have taken chances, the game would have been out of sight at half time. So I agree with you that they weren't good enough. The quality wasn't there. But I thought that they actually, in trying to take the game to us, at times, they actually played some decent stuff. And when I got into the box-to-box bar at halftime, I was surprised to see that the possession stats were so high.
It was like 79% or something like that.
73, I think, at halftime.
73.
But I was really surprised to see that. And I'm not suggesting that they were amazing, and I know that we are a class or two above them, but I just thought for where they are, they came and they gave it a real good go. And maybe it's just what we used to, what we watch every week is teams just sitting back. So seeing a team actually coming to try and take something to us, maybe that just felt a little bit different, and it was actually giving us something to think about. But
the second half, I thought they improved quite significantly, but I also think that probably aligned with us tiring quite a lot as well. I tell you what is funny, or sort of funny. You're in the group, obviously, but seeing that first half, I don't know who got man of the match, but I think Pake was one of the people that Blues, and by the way, I'm sure Blues admin just do a random selector on man of the match. Choose four players. because in that first half, I thought he was like, he needs to come off. He's like rushing stuff. He looks quite sloppy. He's looking leggy. I'm just like, just bring Leonard on second half. And then obviously after a few minutes into the second half, he scored. I said, well, I'm claiming the assist for that one. Because I got that. Yeah.
That was another one for me. It was like, you've got Leonard there. Could you freshen it up a little bit? Should you freshen it up? Now, whether Davies is thinking, wow, international breaks in sight, I don't know. But that was something that we said earlier.
I can tell you right now, he's absolutely thinking that. He says they can have a break into. They can have, well, say Paik won't have their break, really, because he's been called up. But
yeah, again, it's like a non-stop season. He's going to have played about 90 games by the end of the season. So you've just mentioned man of the match and who was put forward. I pressed the wrong fucking option by mistake. So Samstead, for me, I thought he had a fantastic game. Another player who has been overlooked recently since his injury and then coming back. I thought he was fantastic, and when I've watched him earlier in the season, I thought he was decent enough to be playing. I don't think he's ever let us down, and in the few opportunities that he's broke forward, I thought he's looked good. On Tuesday, he put a fantastic ball in that over to Stano at the back post, and the defender got there ahead of him.
Yes,
in the first half, and it was a really good cross. And I think that he could be that could be him sort of saying, I'm around.
I mean, to be fair, now I know we've got internationals now, but Gardner Hickman's out until after the international break, so there's no Laird. So you would assume he's not going to play Bielik at right back. So I think he's probably got a game Saturday as well.
For now, I've understood him being behind Laird because Laird hit some quality form. I thought he was one of the key players involved in what we were doing attacking wise.
We're a better team when he's in the side, I think.
It gives people a lot to think about when they're thinking about defending. But I thought that Samstead probably stuck a claim there for being that second choice, and it probably feels a bit hard done by having sat there and watched Gardner Hickman come in for him instead of him. There's probably felt like he had something to prove, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I will say about Samstead is, and there's a couple of players like this in the squad actually, the physical, he looked quite athletic on Tuesday, but I do worry about the physical side of the game with him. I think up against someone that's a little bit stronger, a little bit more physical, he might not be as effective. And I will say, like, the penalty that he won midweek, why didn't he have a shot there anyway? Why did he go try to take it? I was a bit confused as to
he clearly got ripped down. Absolutely clearly he was dragged to the ground. That's why he didn't take a shot. Okay. So you're saying earlier some of them have been quite favourable to us.
I thought that was quite soft.
It was a soft one.
I mean, I think Samson played for that, and fair play to him. I think he knew what he was doing.
Do you know what? Barely any complaints from their players. They just pen. but then the Lincoln one.
It's Birmingham City at home, of course. We're going to get a penalty. We get one every week.
Yeah, but then the ref gave it, and then he was shit ever since after that. But then you go back to the Lincoln game the week before. That's for me one of the most clear pens that you'll see, and they were aggrieved about it. And it's like, I just don't understand. Okay, so
he was very good, I thought. So I look forward to seeing him again on Saturday. My man of the match in that game was Iwata, because I thought he was absolutely everywhere. I haven't looked at what his pass completion is, but it must have been pretty high, and he was all over the shop. In a good way.
Over the shop in a good way. I tell you what, though, isn't it a massive change and a really nice change to have 4 options for man of the match, and it's not enough because we need like 8, 9 options to say who's the man, like player of the season. We came away from the game on Saturday, and it was like, well, who's your player of the season so far? and it's like Keshi Anderson would have been up there if it wasn't for injuries.
A couple of injuries.
Yeah,
Laird, not a couple of injuries.
yeah.
I think Clara
Clara
probably ends up winning it because he's been pretty much ever present. So for me,
I wasn't actually asking you for your
no, I
player
know.
of the season. I was just
It's
saying that
quite,
was the
I mean,
discussion.
if you start drilling down into it, and we'll have the conversation later, but there's probably, as you say, there's probably about 4 or 5 players to be up for it. It'd be interesting to see who gets player of the season. Actually, I'm quite looking forward to seeing where the players
who they choose between them. That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Obviously, you've got Cochrane as well, who's like Mr. Sports 7 out of 10 every week, isn't he? So
it's going to be Duke, isn't it?
Hopefully, yeah. I'm just looking forward to his hat trick at Wembley.
Oh, that'd be nice. In the last 5 minutes,
he's doing the halftime entertainment. He's learning how to be a magician.
So still on Stevenage. Comments made online, and Saley has brought it up in the comments now, and he said, "Can you please speak to the club and ask when Big Willie is back? Because since his injury, I think it's his little brother playing instead." I just think some of the comments are harsh. I mean, there was a post. I'm not gonna drill into it too much.
A bit. I mean, it was
the Adam Clayton reference was out of order, in my opinion.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's taking the piss. 100% though, Saley. Like, he has not been the same player since he came back.
I think that's fair. That's fair to say.
Yeah, he doesn't even look like the player he was before he started to really acclimatise to the league. And I'm not. Now, obviously, he's had the injury, and he's also playing more games than he probably has done previously. He's not used to playing over the Christmas period, all that sort of stuff as well. So there's probably factors. Also, he's playing in a different country now, so maybe are there other factors at play as he settled properly, etc. So, but there's something definitely off with him. I mean, we spoke about before when he just looked like his anticipation, his timing wasn't there, and you sort of said, "Oh, maybe he was concussed from that," but he's still like that. So
I don't think he's as bad as that.
Well, who did he play? Did he thread the ball through for Taylor Gardner-Hickman for the cross for the goal against Bolton? I think he did sort of.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah. Because someone said online he couldn't make a pass, and I said, well, he made a key pass in the So, I call it a key pass because I'm old school, but
they are key passes, aren't they?
Yeah, so, well, exactly. Yeah, but I don't go the pre-assist route. Or the assist of the assist.
The assist of the assist. So I don't know what's up with him, but at the moment we're kind of restricted to who we've got available. So Hansen's just come back, but looks like he might be injured again. Anderson's still coming back to fitness after being out. Luke Harris has disappeared again. Was he even on the bench? Was he?
Let me have a look. I don't know. I know that there was only two.
Kieran Dow sort of kind of taken the limelight from
No, he wasn't, because Leonard came back on the bench.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe Willemsen goes away during the international period, and then he'll be playing, obviously, but might come back with a little bit more. I don't know.
Has he been called up now?
I don't know. I'm assuming he is going to be called up, though.
I know the game's been called off, but we've only had 2 players that we know of called up so far, don't we?
Peake's definitely been called up. I'm assuming Grant Hanley gets called up.
He has been.
Luke Harris has been called up for the under-21s.
Oh, okay. Is that that's probably what it is then?
He
wasn't called up for the first team.
Under-21.
It was Hanley was the second one.
Be more, weren't there, as well? You'd imagine. So.
Do you know what? Maybe a little break would actually do
for England. Maybe.
But yeah, maybe it would do him good if he wasn't called up for Iceland, or maybe it'd do him good to go and meet up with his international teammate and refresh yourself.
I'm probably showing my lack of knowledge of Icelandic football players, but I don't know how wide or how deep their pool is of players available to them.
I mean, Dalmar would tell us, but I think there's only about 70 people who live in Iceland, isn't there? So
Dalmar might get called up himself.
Maybe. Maybe.
But I have been quite disappointed with Williamson, and I think there's something else at play because we've seen how good he can be.
Yeah.
We've seen how important he can be to the team and the way he plays. There's something not quite right there. But Davis is persisting with him and sticking with him because obviously he believes
See something.
he's still quite an important part of important cog in a
Well,
well-oiled
we've
machine.
had a couple of comments. John Merrill again has said, think he looks worse as Dowell has been more effective as a creative force.
I probably agree with
Fair
that.
comment.
Yeah.
When they've been playing side to side, side by side as well. And Andrew Fleming said it must be confidence. Can't see him cutting it though at the top end of the championship. Do you know what?
I still think he'll be better playing in the championship.
I agree, but I also think it could be a massive confidence thing. I thought at first that it might just be sharpness, but now, like, I'm starting to think, is it like niggling at the back of his head, a bit like Alfie May with the goals.
I'm desperate for him to score.
Everyone is, but Williamson's game is that, like, people are ripping him for the headers, and like the heading just isn't his game. Clearly, he's like 7 foot, but he's like 50
6'4", yeah, and he doesn't really head the ball particularly well, does he?
No, when he jumps, he's 6'2".
Whilst I remember we talk about Alfie May and just desperate for him to score, it was so nice to see him because I saw a few people online saying it looked like he'd been sulking a bit when he'd been taken off, but see when he set up Paik for that goal and how much he celebrated after he scored, right? That anyone that was doubting May's mindset, and I think probably just only needs to look at that celebration after Paik had scored to know that it means something to him.
I mean, he went and laid out a Plymouth fan, didn't he, at Cheltenham, sticking up for Jay Stanford.
A 14-year-old kid,
He didn't. For anyone who's not seen,
don't know the full story, and
no.
I've only seen a video, but I think everybody has. But you look like you were sticking up for. I don't think that any punches were thrown.
Bystanders' comments have said that Alfie May just went over and said what everyone was thinking afterwards. So, yeah, I don't think he's chinned anyone. Or has he? Go on,
swiftly.
There's one more comment on the Stevenage game. Mr. Uzai, I think that's right. Did anyone notice the fan that celebrated so hard that he fell over the barriers when we scored our second? It looked so funny. I'm not gonna see that.
I do love stuff like that, so I might have to go. I'll have to watch the highlights back. I normally watch the highlights back, but I haven't had time to this week. I've just been so busy with stuff. So
yeah, I'll have to watch it back. Soccer AM Third Eye style things.
Back in the day. Them were the days.
They were great, weren't they? Right. Well, that's summed up to now.
So
should we move on to so that we can see what surprise and delights us?
I'll say we could swiftly move on to Northampton, but I knew you were going to try. You were going to end up bringing this up, so I'm going to let you take the floor with this, Chris.
Oh, but tell me first, as a Blues fan, what surprise and delights you?
Just winning games, mate.
Winning games, yeah.
Just winning games.
I get quite surprised and delighted when Tom Wagner puts his credit card behind the bar and you go for a beer and it's free. So, in fact, I don't know whether to. Yeah, hang on. I'm going to do it now.
Wagner of the week.
I'm just going to give Tom Wagner of the week quickly because we mentioned him, and it was because he's gone to Downing Street to basically tell Keir Starmer that he's going to chin him if he doesn't put the new sports quarter through. So Tom Wagner of the week. There we go. But yeah, that's what surprises and delights me.
I think he was just going to give him a Chinese burn. I think he said. I think that was. I don't think.
Is that it?
No. Or he's going to say, "I'll bring Alfie May round if you don't." If you
might put him in a camel clutch. Americans love their wrestling, don't they? So it's come on. But yeah, that's what surprises and delights me. But what they were going to do with the OSCs was delight and surprise and delight the supporters with a flag reveal at Wembley. Was that the flag that everyone's chipping in for to get done? Is it that flag? Don't know. So
No,
maybe
I don't
we'll
know.
still be surprised and delighted with another flag. For me, I don't know the ins and outs of what's going on, and I just think that the whole smoke and mirrors under the table snide, essentially, of it, of how it looks, how it appears. Don't tell anyone. For me, it's not the right way to go about it. When we spoke about OSCs getting tickets last season, for me, I've got no issue with the club going, right, we've got 100 tickets for this game that will go to local OSCs. Now, I don't agree with them going to OSCs that aren't anywhere near, but your local game, I've got no issue with that. If you're a member of an OSC, you go in a ballot and you can get a ticket out of 100 of an allocation. Completely fine. Wembley, for me, I would have done exactly the same. I'd have had a block of, I'd say 1,000 tickets. And I'd say, we've got 500 tickets for travelling OSC members coming from abroad. We'll reserve tickets for them. If those five, you're welcome. We'll reserve tickets for them.
I'll have all 500, please. I know some people.
They
can sit with me.
I do. That's basically your household is like 500
I knew
people,
that was
isn't
coming. Feels like
it? Sometimes. Dogs, cat.
Is there a rule on dogs at Wembley? I don't know.
I don't know. No, I've seen some dogs at Wembley.
Oh dear, Chris. This is the wrong podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Move on. But for Wembley, 1,000 tickets for OSCs, 500 of them going for OSC members from Texas, wherever, Florida, all the different. I don't know why I've just gone to Iceland for Denmark, all over the place. Anyone that's traveling, that's coming to London, if you're an OSC, you've got that reserved. And if there's not enough, then you ballot them. The other 500, I would ballot at the point that it goes on sale to season ticket holders. Right, you've got a ticket in the ballot, you've got a ticket in the ballot, and have 1,000 tickets for OSCs. You've got a perk then of being in the OSC. It encourages people. And then what that actually might have done, if we've announced that, people go, oh, do you know what? I'm going to join an OSC, because if we get to the playoff final in the championship, then I've got a chance of getting a ticket to that, even though I don't do away games, or even if I've not got a season ticket. Well, no, we're just going to win the league. Yeah. But it will encourage people to. What about the FA Cup final then?
Maybe.
But I've just read a comment there. Saley said, what surprises and delights me is Redditch are no longer number one. I wouldn't be so sure. I just think if you make that clear, and if you say, right, we're going to have this amount of tickets for OSCs, we're going to ballot them, people then can get a ticket, and the OSCs can go together. I just think be clear about it. I know that's not what they've said was happening.
Communication was obviously the bit that's. I mean, the statement they've come out with. I'm going to be honest, probably a little bit misleading, and I don't think it's actually. I'm not sure how true it is. Now, I'm sure something has gone on, but let's get this straight. This sort of stuff, goes on all the time. It's happened in the past when we got to the League Cup final against Arsenal. These sorts of scenarios are always going to happen. There are always going to be people that get tickets through the back door and get special, not special treatment as such, but there are perks and it's always gone on. And I think more now that these days you've got things like WhatsApp and social media, that it just spreads quicker and etc. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. but this sort of stuff will always happen. Now, the stuff with the OSC, I think Daniel touched on it with his article. That I think came out this morning. Is that the OSCs, or most OSCs, do a lot of stuff in line with the club, and by joining an OSC, you know, there are always going to be perks. Otherwise, people probably wouldn't do it. So I think people need to understand that. But ultimately, it is, as you say, the cloak and dagger, the smoke and mirrors type of stuff surrounding it. Like, it's made the whole thing look way, way worse. Now, I've been a beneficiary of stuff in the past. I think at the last League Cup final, I was quite fortunate to get a ticket via my uncle. But, you know, people do have connections at the club, and people will pull on those connections to get stuff. And but that's the same in any business, in most walks of life. If you know people that know people, I know a man, you know, these things are going to happen, but it is all around clarity, and it just makes it look worse. And if they try to cover their backs with a story that maybe necessarily isn't true, it's probably going to blow up in their face again. Now, there's been a lot of people have been going after the OSCs in general, but this isn't about the OSC as a group anyway. A lot of OSC members and leaders are also very angry about what has gone on, because they have this doesn't feel like it was offered to everybody. It was offered to one or two, maybe three groups, people that have obviously come forward and pushed the OSC heads for, you know, preferential treatment, or can you help out with stuff like that. And I think what probably happened is things got a little bit out of hand. It was very hard to start saying no to stuff because they'd already sort of half committed, and they'd sort of dug themselves into a hole. And now you've got all this crap happening with the stuff about the flag, which, you know, I'm going to be honest, I know I said it might only be a half leaf. I think it's bollocks. I think it's absolute nonsense.
Yeah, I read that, and I just thought, I don't believe that for 1 minute. That just looks like, can we make an excuse? Now, I like Delves. I've got time for him. I like Suck. I've got time for him. I've got time for the idea of OSCs, although for myself, never thought of a geographical one, because I'm in Birmingham. We've gone over this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different conversation. We've gone over it before. Like, yeah.
But I think these perks should be there, but they should be clear. I think the minute that you turn around and you're saying don't say anything, there's a reason that you're saying don't say anything, and it's because you know that it's not right. Something isn't right.
Yeah.
That, for me, that's my opinion on it. Chris W has said the OSC stuff has stank from the start. For me, I don't think that's right. It isn't for me, but I think that the idea behind it is good. I think that the guys who run it probably need a bit of support, and there should be an official person from the club who's heading it, and then they're supported by fan liaison who and that's the link there. That's how I think it should go. And
from my experience of it, it's all been a bit sort of fly by the seat of your pants. It's been sort of almost been winging it. And you know what, the guys that have been running it have done a pretty good job, considering, I think, for the most part. Obviously, there's always going to be hiccups and things that happen along the way. Not defending it. I am part of the OSC. I'm part of the the Ulster OSC. And just on record, I knew nothing about this that had gone on until all these messages started going around. And I can tell you that there are a lot of other people in other OSCs that are quite disappointed and upset about what's happened, because they feel like it's shine a light on a negative light on the OSCs in general, which it does, because everybody ties you with the same brush.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've said it about 5 times. It's just, you need some clear and concise communication. They have to think about what they want to do with this sort of stuff, and then just deliver it and put it out there, you know. And then they have to learn from this. for future reference, because the way things are going, we probably will be getting to more of these big days out, and hopefully, you said playoff finals, that hopefully we'd go to up automatically, but there will be maybe opportunities like that. There will be maybe cup finals in the future if we grow the way we're hoping to grow, and the Nighthead put the money behind us, and we move to a new stadium. There are going to be plenty of these sorts of days, hopefully, in the future. So there has to be some form of. I'm sure Tom Wagner's looked at this and said, right, we need to sit down and have a think about how we manage this going forward. And I'm sure Jeremy Dale's on the case as well, and there might be another statement. Who knows? Maybe they'll be happy enough with that. Just to
actually, it wasn't the flag.
I don't know. Maybe they just need someone else to just do something that takes the negativity away from them. Like, it needs to be something else that happens potentially. I don't know.
I mean, ultimately, for me, like, I've got no issue with people in the OSC getting an allocation of tickets and being balloted. That for me is that should be a part of being an OSC member. But it's when it goes, like you say, cloak and dagger. That's when it's wrong.
I mean, the club will always have like a huge number of tickets that they almost keep behind for staff, friends, family, etc., sponsors. Go on.
I was just going to say, I don't know if that's not what's happened, and they've gone, look, we've got some tickets that we can give to OSCs, like dish them out how you feel fit. And because of the backlash that happened with the away tickets, they've gone, right, okay, well, we'll just give them to the ones that we trust that can keep it quiet. Hence
the ones with the most members.
Well, yeah, but if it's their one and they think that it's whatever, but for me, just go, right, okay, we're going to have a ballot to all OSCs, and not just on WhatsApp, and not just communicating there, but communicating through proper channels. So if you're not in a WhatsApp group, you can still apply for it, and let people get involved. And I think maybe in future that's the way that it should go, rather than saying no one's going to get anything now. Just address it and go, actually, we can give something to people, but we need to be clear, transparent, and sort it out the right way. For me, couple of comments on the. Were you going to say something then before I?
No. I think you sort of just said that when I mentioned about the club having the tickets, you sort of mentioned what I was going to say anyway. That it's probably come from that pool of tickets, which shouldn't really affect anyone, but because there was no clarity and there was a smoke and mirrors, and obviously it makes it look worse. So they just need to manage it going forward. It has to be a learning experience.
Yeah. A couple of comments on the OSCs. John said it feels like a good idea that has grown and got out of hand and now needs to be brought under control by the club, so everything is transparent and fair to all. Completely agree. 100%. I think that's probably what it should have been from the start, was having that liaison. Chris has said, I live in Shropshire, so I could join an OSC. I just don't get why they're needed. Baffles me, but that could just be me. You're in the OSC over in Northern Ireland. I know that you've met some of the people over there, haven't you? So you've seen a degree of not need. What's the word? Usefulness to it.
Yeah, so, it's like, because you don't think there's very many here, then you realise actually there's quite a few more and then that they're the only ones that I know that are in the group. So there are more out there. So it's been quite nice meeting other people that are sort of exiled, if you will.
And I think that the people that are in, I don't know if Shropshire have had meetups and stuff like that, but like the Derby ones and places like that, people just go in and saying, right, we're going to meet here on this date and we're going to have a catch up. I know Cannock do a lot of it, and not that that's a million miles away from Birmingham anyway, but like, I can see that side of it when you're not local, and people that can't get to games, they might go, actually, I'll be an OSC member. I'll go and chat blues with some people that I wouldn't see. If you go to games every week, then you probably less so. And I think that the further afield you go, and especially as we grow, I think they're going to be a great idea, but it's going to need refining, probably constant refining as it grows.
There needs to be more of an element of, as John hit the nail on the head, really, a little bit more control, organisation, etc.
Chris has just said I'm probably just an antisocial bastard. Then probably.
I feel you, Chris. I'm not. I feel you. I do get it.
Northampton.
Yes. Yep. I don't even know. Who's managing them now? Mark Nolan, Kevin Nolan. Mark Nolan. Who's Mark Nolan? Kevin Nolan, isn't it? Is Kevin Nolan
Is
managing
it
them
Kevin
now?
Nolan?
Yeah,
It is
I'm not
Kevin
sure.
Nolan.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the case.
And Tyler Roberts scored from recently, didn't he? Obviously, he won't play against us, so
No,
he could
luckily.
try.
Now that he's found some form.
I was. It's one game that I would really like to have come over and got to, although it would have been quite difficult.
And tickets will be quite scarce as well, unless you're in an
too,
OSC.
At least you know, unless you know someone who knows somebody, you know. So, I think I know. Yeah, there's probably people going that because Northampton never sell out. That I imagine there'll be quite a few Blues fans in the Northampton end. I'd put money on it actually. So look out for that. Are you going?
I am going. We're playing the Northampton fans in the morning.
The Shoemakers.
Claret Shoemakers, they're called. Yeah,
Shoemakers.
We haven't won in a few games, so we're debuting a new kit on Saturday morning as well. So we'll get some pictures up of that after. It's nice. A beauty. It's a beauty. Sorry, just to go back onto the OSCs to divert briefly. This is going to be the last one. Gary said it's nice for the Canuck one as you're surrounded by Dingles, Baggies, and Villa fans. It's nice to have some Blues fans to chat to. So I get that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It's probably similar with people in like Derby, where you've got Derby, Burton, maybe not many Burton fans actually, Stoke, whatever around you. So yeah. We'll move on. We'll look at Northampton, but I get the reasoning behind it. It's not massively for me, but I get it.
I mean,
but
first and foremost, the Northampton game for me, it's not must win, but we have to go out and get 3 points because we know that Wycombe and Wrexham are playing each other this weekend, and it's just extending that lead a little bit more.
Space. So, yeah.
And I think that'll probably be mentioned, you know. So I just want it to be over, just win and over, and have a break for 2 weeks. I know I'll be looking forward to
the final leg of the season.
Yeah, which is ended. See, I thought Wrexham would have dropped more points by this point, and I actually fancied us to have been close enough to have gone up either today, not today, Northampton or
today. Just going to go up today without playing.
I would have been Stevenage or Shrewsbury, but obviously we're not playing the Stevenage game anyway, so it's probably going to be, I don't know, Bristol, Barnsley, maybe
Peterborough.
That would be funny if we
win the league against Peterborough. And then play them in a few days,
and lose because we're all massively hungover.
Hopefully not. So, do you know anything about Northampton, how they play or whatever?
They've changed. They've obviously changed since we played them last, but then we don't know if they're just going to try and set up as a low block because teams, the way teams normally play aren't the same when they play us. So. You can look at the way they might set up, and I know there's also usually a couple of good threads by a couple of lads on Twitter whose name I forget, and you probably remember. Is it James?
I don't remember James something.
Yeah. I apologise
if
you can work it out. You can give him a shout out, Chris. He normally does a good thread about how position play, but normally when we play them, they set up differently, low block, 5 at the back. Whatever make life difficult for us, and I imagine Northampton will probably do the same.
His name is just James, and not just James, just James. Only James. And then his tag, if you want to follow him, is JAM, so Jam 3S_34. But yeah, he puts a good.
He's a good follower. He does quite thorough, in depth sort of breakdowns, doesn't he? I don't know how they play. I'm more concerned about how we play. Would you expect to see any changes? It sounds like Hansen's picked up an injury again. Worth mentioning that, actually.
Well, you touched on it earlier. He said that he went off as a precaution. So,
and then we'll see how he is during the week. So he felt something in his calf or his hamstring or something. I think calf. I think it was. It happens a little bit too often for me. It's a bit of a worry. I've liked the look. I thought that first half against Stevenage, he was really, really good. I thought it was one of his, if not his best, because I think he was really good against Wigan earlier in the season. it was one of his better games, if not his best game. And I thought, oh, he looks really useful. But my only concern is that sometimes it just doesn't look powerful enough to cope with the physicality over in England, which I said, I think, at the beginning of the season, as it can take time for players to acclimatise that come in from those leagues. So I'm a little bit concerned, but he still doesn't look like, you do worry about him if he does get hurt, that he seems to be out for quite a while. So I'm hoping that he's not out, because I mean, we've got Gardner Hickman out injured again now, and Anderson still coming back to fitness. We could do with him really in this final run, and
hopefully,
because at some point,
precaution.
hopefully, I've gone off on a tangent here, but the club will start getting frustrated with him if he can't stay fit and if he keeps getting injured, and they will just cut their losses and get rid of him in the summer. But so he's got a run of 9 or 10 games here now where he can really stake his claim for ready for next season. But so whether or not we'll see him or not, I don't know. You make the assumption that hopefully Anderson will just come in for him
if needed, yeah.
And there probably won't be any, certainly from my point of view, there won't be any other changes.
I don't know.
As we've said with the international break coming up, you'll see.
You'd think, but does he maybe?
I want to see Mark Leonard start a game again. I want to see Mark Leonard, but I don't think it's going to happen against Northampton. No. I'd like him to get his first goal against Northampton, because obviously he played for them for a couple of seasons.
So obviously there's if Hansen's out, and as you said, there's no Gardner Hickman, that's Keshi Anderson.
Yep.
The opposite side, do you put Stansfield wide, because Stansfield came on wide?
No, I think he goes with Williamson and Dow, doesn't he? Yeah, I think that's what he does. Because then if you play the same way you do with Samsted, is in that layered role where he pushes quite far up. Essentially, Samsted's really the right winger, and you're playing with 2 10s.
Yeah,
with Dowell and Williamson. Just needs to see something more from Williamson as well. Maybe playing another game next to his best mate will be doing the world of good.
Yeah. Maybe.
I'm just clutching at straws there. Like, you've got your pal just flanking you down the
play with him.
Right side. But
right, I've had a quick look on who scored to see what their summary was. Bear in mind that this might be taken in before a change of managers as well. Their strengths are protecting leads, weaknesses keeping possession of the ball, defending against through ball attacks. Come on, Big Willie. Defending against skillful players. Come on, Big Willie. Their style of play is long balls, attacking through the middle, take long shots, and play the offside trap. Now, obviously, that might have changed. That might have been based on old data, but there you go. Quick summary. We were quickly, like, because we've always failed to prepare, we were very quickly before we started recording tonight trying to get the video from James, who plays for Claret Shoemakers and has been on before, but he was just about to go to 5-a-side just as I asked him. Really, I should have planned it, but yeah.
So just to have a quick look. So they played Stockport at the weekend, I think, or was it the weekend? Let's have a quick look. When did they play them?
Leighton Orient, I've got that they played.
So yeah, I might possibly wrong there. So they played Stockport on the 4th of March. So that was the same weekend we played. Well, no, that was Tuesday, the 4th of March. Sorry. So they played. Looks like they played 3-5 at the back against Stockport at home. Obviously, Stockport try to play possession-based game of football as well, but
3-4-3 against Leighton Orient. It's got them down on here.
Lack of possession against them, and then sort of Leighton. Yeah, you see Leighton Orient there. So what was this?
They
beat
Leyton
Leyton Orient away
Orient
from
2-1.
home. Again, they had a lot less possession. Again, pass accuracy less than 50%. Crikey! So it must have been long ball. So maybe they still play like that, but obviously, they managed to get a good win against Leyton Orient away from home. Exeter. Let's have a quick look there. Again, 42% possession. So it's going to be really, really, really high possession, I think, for us again, which I think it was against them. I think it was I think we had 78% possession or something against them in the home game.
Yeah, and we know what happened.
Then we screwed it up in the last last minute or so. So
John said we do owe them after they absolutely mugged us in one of the most sided games I can remember in that 1-1. But it's taking your chances, isn't it? And making your chances, taking your chances, and seeing.
It seems they're not conceding much. Looking at their more recent fixtures, so to see. I mean, we've got to try. We don't create mass amounts of chances, but I say if we go up 1-0 or 2-0, then the game's pretty much over, and in my point of view, anyway. So they're losing their best player. Because can't play against us, can he? So
that's it. Right, come on then. Prediction.
2-0 Blues.
Scorer.
Allsop. he's gonna take the penalty this week. No, I think it's time for Stansfield to score again. I really want Alfie May to score, but Stansfield's going to start, isn't he? So Stano needs a goal again. Actually, he's had a quiet patch. So
you're going Stano.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going 4-0 and Willemsen, aren't you?
I'm going to go. Come on, Big Willie. Come on, Big Willie. You need that goal. Big Willie and Alfie May. But mine's going to be Big Willie. But
all right.
Alfie May needs one as well. So hopefully he can grab one too.
Hopefully he could grab a Big Willie.
Oh, no, hopefully he grabs a goal. Hopefully.
Okay. Oh right, yeah. Sorry.
So there we go. Before we do finish off, go on. We'll have this question first. Saley has said, do we think promotion will be sealed as early as Bristol Rovers or Barnsley?
I said that a minute ago, didn't I? I thought Bristol Rovers or Barnsley, because I thought it was going to be before that, because I thought Wrexham had dropped more points than they have done.
Yeah. Stevenage one postponed. I think I said promotion was Shrewsbury, but now that's
so we've got 10 games, they've got 9 games. I think
magic number is 15 for promotion. So that's as it stands. If everyone wins every game, bear in mind they're playing each other. So I can't remember how it works. But the magic numbers I think are 15 and 20 to win the league.
So let's see. I think it's either going to be, because I think it's Bristol. Well, it's 9 points. 2, 3. They've got Stockport. No, but it's probably Barnsley.
I think win the league against Barnsley. Promotion against Barnsley at home. Win the league against Peterborough, and then play them in the cup.
That would be something.
My prediction. That's my prediction on that. I think. Right, before we go now, we had a comment. I've just got to try and find it. The boy in blue, he who actually came up and gave me a massive hug the other night. The other day. Which game was it? Lincoln game. So cheers for coming up to us. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know who you were at the time. So Matthew's pointed me in the right direction of who you are. It was great to meet you. Thank you for coming up and saying hello. I'm not going to lie. It shocked me. It surprised me at the time. But thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you everyone for listening and for getting involved in the chat. And until next time, keep right on.
Keep right on.